Testes, 1, 2, 3. This video is a review and read through for IDW Comics Transformers Monstrosity issue 10, which is part of the 2005 to 2018 complete IDW Transformers comic run that we are in the process of currently reviewing in the order of continuity. This review is number 21 out of 427 publications. Let's get on with it.
All right, so we got the title screen of Monstrosity number 10. Nice lavender color.
What were you talking about these colors? That's obviously Megatron's fist right there. But what were you talking about this?
Well, I was looking at like just how the splatter and stuff is. Like to me, it kind of looks a little watercolory. I don't know if maybe they used a watercolor palette on how they were coloring this or inking it.
It makes you wonder, why is his fist dripping with energon?
And his barrel smoking. What I'm assuming is his leg. So we're looking at his back because that's his right arm.
In the last issue, Optimus Prime was still trying to hold the population together, but many who want nothing to do with the growing war continue to leave. Although for different reasons, we also see the exodus of the Dinobots after a massacre at the spaceport. Meanwhile, Scorponok has just released a long dormant terror to ravage Cybertron. And the story is by Chris Metzen and Flint Dilley. Art and cover by Livio Ramondelli. Letters by Tom B. Long. Editor John Barber. And issue was published in 2013.
While Prime and Alpha Trion are discussing the current doubts Prime is experiencing as leader due to losing Diatlas to the Exodus, and the Dinobots leaving out of fear they might continue to hurt innocents due to their uncontrollable beast alt modes, they are interrupted by Bumblebee. Moments later, at the command center, we find what the interruption is all about. Jetfire briefs Prime on the unusual large entity released by Scorponok that's currently destroying everything in sight. Who is this new enemy that is heading towards Harmonex? And why Harmonex? Harmonex is known as the Singing City of Cybertron, where it serves as a center for art and learning. It holds within it Lilith crystals that sing in perfect harmonic frequency. Is Cybertron doomed as its cities fall and its resources are depleted as a result of the ongoing war of the Transformers?
All right, so we have Optimus and Alpha Trion inside Metroplex, inside Optimus's quarters. Kind of funny, we left off the last episode and we were talking about that last panel of Optimus and how he might be feeling with everybody leaving and what seems like might be a bunch of failures. And even here, Alpha Trion's basically summing it all up, and you feel as you failed them. You're angry at yourself.
I think it's kind of what preluded that for me too. But I mean, any kind of leader with any kind of conscience or that actually cares for people and his troops and civilians has that kind of feeling.
A leader's job isn't always to make determinations for his followers, but to teach them to make their own. And that's something that Optimus is struggling because, he feels like leading is the best thing at the moment, but he's not leading in the right way.
It's like, he feels like he knows the right path and he just doesn't understand why, other people don't see it too.
Right.
Is this the second time we've seen Alpha Trion in the series so far? I know he was in Spotlight Orion Pax.
Yeah, he was in Spotlight Orion Pax where he got kidnapped.
That was the continuum of Omega Supreme, or what was that? I'm trying to remember.
I remember they wanted Alpha Trion because they were trying to find Metroplex, and they knew Alpha Trion might know where he's at.
Omega's Conundrum.
That's right.
So
there you go.
That's an issue that's already happened where people were looking for, or not, Cybertronians were looking for Metroplex, and they knew Alpha Trion knew where he was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at that time, Metroplex was under, what was the city he was under?
Nyon. Well,
Nyon.
Yeah, Nyon.
So that's where he was at that time. But he not always going to be here. So he's going to be disappearing again at some point.
Yeah, he's not a very prominent figure, just kind of shows up. Almost, but I kind of had the feeling like, because they're in Metroplex right now, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I almost got the feeling that Alpha Trion is residing there now.
I think he is.
Moments later at the command center, we have Jetfire briefing Optimus as to what's going on, because all hell is breaking loose right now. I mean, if you can't fathom the size of a massive freaking robotic dinosaur monster that's larger than the cities just fucking stepping through things, let alone swiping at things with his tail and his mini claws and breathing fire and shooting fucking lasers. I mean, there's some destruction happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is Cybertronian Godzilla right here. So,
Yeah, I think it needs to be fleshed out just how serious right now shit's going down.
and not the little Godzilla that he started out to be. It's the later, Shin Godzilla or whatever later one that you're familiar with. But yeah, every time he came out, he was growing bigger and bigger, and that's where we're at right here. We're starting out with the bigger one.
Yep. This is when you start a D&D campaign and all your level 1 characters go up against a red dragon.
Oh, the D&D. Here it is. But we digress.
All right, so we have the explosion on the planet where he's coming up out of the ground, which should be near the crater, by the way.
Yeah, look, you can see that from space.
Yeah.
I mean, this, and it's just, I was going to say something, but we haven't got to there yet. So
Creature is heading towards Harmonex.
Harmonex is lost already, but maybe we can slow the beast down. Ironhide assemble a full strike team. We'll need everyone. You got it, boss. Magnus will need as many industrial grade phase charges, draw inhibitors, and fusion borers as we can scrounge. Right away, Prime.
So, and when I'm reading that, the first, second, this is like the third time I've read this comic, I'm thinking those ain't going to touch us, dude. I mean, so anytime you're coming up with a plan, the first, the second, the third draft may not work, but they're just kind of in idea form right now because ain't none of that shit going to touch him.
Yep.
And look at him destroying cities like the freaking Legos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, here we are. We're in Metroplex now.
It's like the Matrix, bro.
Yeah, and that just may be how it is. When he found the Matrix, he used it to call Metroplex, but Metroplex being one of the original Titans, I don't know. We would never really see a spark chamber of the Titans, but it may be shaped like this.
Yeah, because hold on a second. During Autocracy is when Metroplex awoke, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So right after Metroplex awoke, Pax found the Matrix. I mean, the two were they were simultaneously events. Pax found the Matrix, then he found Metroplex. So
Right.
I'm wondering
He was able to call Metroplex awake. Once he got the Matrix and it repaired him, the way it read was like he had a feeling he knew where Metroplex was, like the Matrix took him to Metroplex. So Metroplex may have an innate connection with the Matrix.
Yeah, I remember it was saying that it was drawing him toward, I don't know, I can't remember if he said an energy source or whatever, but it was drew him to a certain location, and then he must have had some kind of innate feeling about what would be there, and then he called forth Metroplex.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of connection, and with them showing us that, maybe that's what they're wondering, because like what we're doing, we read and we think about things, and we've read through it so many times that we get second, third, fourth, and as King of Lore, Briag 45, 500th fucking read through, you're going to get those. And maybe that's them telling us, hey, remember in Autocracy when they two were simultaneously? So and I think it's important to flesh out what's going on right here. Optimus has gone to Metroplex because he needs help to fight against Trypticon. And he says,
then you know of the creature that's been unleashed.
and Metroplex says,
It is a tear from a forgotten age, the spawn of Mortalus, a vast mindless engine of destruction. The ancients knew it as Trypticon. Many ages ago I fought to subdue the beast. I was there when it was sealed away beneath the world.
Now, this Mortalist thing has some story behind it, and I know you probably know about it, right, Briag?
Yeah. So in the very, very beginning, there was Primus. And Primus split himself into his 5 basic entities, one being himself, Mortalus being basically the version of him as the god of death. It would be like Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. So you can think of Mortalus as Hades, not so much as god of the underworld, but god of death and the afterlife. So when he's saying a terror of a forgotten age, the spawn of Mortalus, he's essentially saying this is a beast of death.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there's more of the storyline with this Mortalist at the end of phase 1 or in phase 2. Is that correct?
Phase 2.
Okay.
The 5 components of Primus, they're called the guiding hand, according to the Circle of Light. They're the ones that worship the legend of the Primes and the guiding hand and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the 13 original Primes come after the 5 of the guiding hand. So the guiding hand is even more dominant and godlike compared to the Primes.
So the guiding hand is comprised of what or who?
So essentially, you take Primus and you divide him into his 5 selves, and one of them being Primus himself, Mortalus, Adaptus. I cannot think of the other 2 at the moment.
Okay, so real quick, the 5 are Primus, Mortalus, Solimus,
Epistemus, yeah.
and Adaptus.
Who named Epistemus?
Well, their names actually mean something. So Primus means the light giver and life giver. Mortalus means the death bringer. Solimus is the wisdom incarnate. Epistemus is the knowledge personified. And Adaptus is blessed with infinity of shapes.
You're only going to get that right here on this thorough
And
review.
I pulled that from the Transformers wiki, by the way.
Right. But it's an important time to discuss that, because anytime you're trying to understand a story, it's very important that you know what to go look for at a certain time so you can understand it. Just reading through these things real fast just doesn't give you what you need.
Yeah. So, and kind of what the guiding hand represents for the Transformers is there's got to be 3 things that make a Transformer. You've got your brain module, and that's represented, I believe, by Solimus, wisdom incarnate. And then you got your transformation cog, and that's represented by Adaptus, blessed with infinity of shapes. And then you've got your spark, which is represented by Primus, the light giver and the life giver.
Right.
They don't necessarily incorporate Mortalus and Epistemus into the 3 things that make a Transformer.
Right. And that's what these 3 comic panels have spurred this discussion right here. The Matrix, Mortalus, the what is it called? What do you guys say again? The
guiding hand,
the guiding
Solimus,
hand.
Epistemus,
But that's all.
and Adaptus.
That's all the information right here in this one panel. Actually 3 panels. For our screen, it's 1, but that's what we're talking about when we do these. Yeah, a lot of people have read them. The stories get kind of old because the last time they did one was 2018 and they closed it up. But we're trying to, we love them. We're bringing them back to you. And maybe through the course of this, if there's enough movement, it's early on, that they can go through and they can fill in some holes with some of this, because the story is definitely worthy of it. Cocolor, Scorponok's Sanctum. So right here, This is cool. Now, hey, business is about to pick up right now.
Yep. With a nice red overtone.
Right, Starscream is walking up to Scorponok, and Great Scorponok, I know you're enjoying the carnage you've set in motion, but your warriors request your presence in the main hall. Yeah, I told you I was not to be disturbed, Starscream. My apologies, but in light of recent events, we need to honor our true leader. And right here you see somebody say in the shadow, "It's good of you to welcome me home, Scorponok, in person." Megatron, is that you? Here's a hint. As we all know what that reference is from.
Mm-hmm.
The 86 movie.
So right now he just blasts his ass. So King of Lore, man, take us through some carnage.
Well, so you basically get Scorponok getting blasted. Megatron still hasn't changed back his form. A little bit symbolic that he's taking his weakened state, almost not transformable, using all those spare parts, and he goes ahead and just blasts Scorponok anyways. Notice he's holding his gun. It's not mounted to his arm. He's just holding it.
Almost like, you know what? You think you're tough, but guess what? I'm going to bust your ass up in my weakened state. He's
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
shit. He's talking shit to him right now.
You may think it unfair of me to challenge you in a weakened state. Consider us even.
So, yeah, he took Scorponok down to what is supposedly his level, which we all know everyone's beneath Megatron in level.
The man has come back. On the outskirts of Harmonex,
The city has been evacuated, but I fear it won't survive what's to come. This was a center for art and learning. How much more do we have to bear to lose? We'll never hear its music again, but if we don't get this done, we'll lose all our cities.
so what do we see going on right here with Harmonex? You see, just look at this. Now I know the drawing is kind of dark and foreboding with a little bit of light, but if that were to be fleshed out, how impressive does that city look?
To me, this would be the equivalent of like Rome. So, like the Great Colosseum, Hanging Gardens, um,
Yeah.
the warm bathhouses that they created. Like he said, this is a city of arts and sciences and learning. Well, art and learning. So it's not necessarily like a hedonistic city, like a whole Sodom and Gomorrah type thing. I would think of this like one giant museum. Like,
It's something beautiful. It's something that should live on. And we just heard Phineas talking about, look, you need to make sure. And Megatron said, that's not going to happen to my planet. And look what's happening to the planet.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And Phineas, and then we have to remember this. We've got to keep remembering this. Phineas's spark is still within Megatron.
yep,
This is yet another city because there's the Crystal City, the whole
Yeah.
Omega Supreme story arc there. But this is another, fabulous, city of Cybertron just being wrecked, and because of this war that's happening that nobody is willing to give up. Not
No.
that I'm thinking the Autobots should give up or anything, but still.
Well, I think if we have to talk about, both sides are blinded right now. I mean, they're both destroying their planet. I know that the Autobots are trying to defend it, but at the same time, trying to see through the next leg of the war, it comes as a distance. Like when they said, look, they were talking about the city and how it will never sing again. There's like, look, we have to do this. Sometimes it makes you wonder
Yeah.
if even the good side should have thought about other ways.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because they said they used the city to lure Trypticon to try to defeat him.
Yeah, I think it was already coming there, but I think they lured him to the city center there, the big structure.
Yeah, they wanted to use whatever they could, whether it be to flank and to, you'll see in a little bit, to try to maneuver and defeat him there. And in so doing, they did help destroy the city instead of trying to lure him away.
It's kind of interesting when you compare this to the G1 cartoon that started off with Cybertron already being Energon short and kind of a vast wasteland, building all the way through season 3 and the 3 episodes called season 4, technically the rebirth, into the golden age of Cybertron. And this comic starts off with basically the quote unquote golden age of Cybertron and burying itself through war.
Yeah, because you see a large population, and you see, when we started seeing G1 and cartoon and the other that time frame of the storyline, there's only a very few, Transformers, Autobots and Decepticons that you know about, and there's almost nobody left on Cybertron. You see later that you have a few people left on Cybertron, but it can't be many. So that all these people that are here right now, and they're the ones that are a part of the Exodus. That they're just leaving and they're going out across the galaxy, trying to find somewhere else to live.
Yep.
Yeah, Ramrod brings up another point. That's another front. So we can't always just think about what we're seeing right now. Like you said on the last issue, think about Hot Rod. What is he doing right now? Think about what's going on with the Exodus, and I hope we kind of touch on that. I don't remember it being touched on, but there's that whole front where all those Cybertronians left, and now they're exploring for somewhere else. So I'm never thinking about the surface. I'm always thinking about all the parts around too. So
yeah, like what's happening with Atlas, and he's out there and doing whatever he's doing, traveling to wherever they're traveling.
I think we see Blur and Sunstreaker revving up, but this is when they're trying to outflank Trypticon right here.
Okay, so they roll out, and yeah, you should be Sunstreaker, Blur, and I think that's either Cup or Prowl. I'm not real sure.
We were wondering if that was Blur that we saw like 2 issues ago, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Ironhide's down there somewhere. Oh yeah, he's manning the guns.
Have we seen Sunstreaker other than Megatron Origins when he was in the was he in the gladiatorial auditorium, or was he one of the police that went in on him?
I remember him wanting to participate in the gladiator arenas, and I remember seeing a couple panels with him in the audience.
Okay.
And I think I remember seeing him at the funeral.
I don't think we've seen him since.
No, I don't think so.
They're using the city to try to defeat him. So, ideals of war lines become blurred.
Yeah. So he blasts him, and didn't really show it hit or anything. Just crackoom.
Look at that art. Let's just kind of look at all that coming on. You got the aerial bots coming in. I don't really know what you could do in ground troops with something like that. I mean, look, that's intense.
Look how high some of these cities are. You've got this edge line here. Looks like it's a bunch of tall buildings on the right here.
Right.
But yeah, the large building's cracking.
That's one of my favorite panels. One of my favorite panels from this series. Back at Kokolar, where Megatron and Scorponok are battling still.
So Megatron's got him down, and I guess he just gets up and attacks him. He says something. He says, "Not where it counted. This isn't possible. You were beaten, broken, not where it counted."
And you got Scorponok asking for mercy.
His lights are out again.
Ah, good catch. Yeah, Megatron put your lights out, and this is when he just puts them up for hunger.
For hunger, I promised you and your Terracons a share of the spoils when I retook what was rightfully mine.
Look at him. Just you could see him, like just that panel right there. They just look like they're waiting. They're hungry. They're wanting something because they have in Monstrosity they have fleshed out that the Terracons are what they're supposed to be. Terrifying bots.
And it doesn't really say, but think of what this looks like to the other Decepticons. We had the Terrorcons threatening Scorponok and Starscream to a lesser degree. and they were going to go end Megatron. And here we are, Megatron saying this. It almost looks like they left to go get Megatron and bring him back, and none of them realized the ass whooping that they all took before that happened.
Yeah.
They don't realize just how he brought them to heel.
Yeah, because it just looks like they were making empty threats and they brought Megatron back to take on Scorponok.
Yeah, sometimes people need a refresher because Megatron proved his worth early on. He showed that he had the strength. He wanted to stand up to the factions that were oppressing the civilians. So you go through a little bit of time, and then somebody rises up, and they think they're the shit, and they can take you on, and they quickly find out who is still in charge. This is them reminding everybody, I'm the motherfucker in charge now.
Yep.
And I'm always going to be.
And then again, all the Decepticons may actually know that they probably got beaten down by Megatron because they are kind of serious. I mean, when they say they're going to do something, they're probably the kind of Decepticon that's actually going to do it, much like the Autobots probably look at the Dinobots in the same way.
Yeah, like in these next couple panels, we see a typical thing that we always see. Doesn't matter what media it is with Transformers, it still takes place. Like with Starscream coming up, but right here they say,
well, now you may feed, but leave enough so that his pain centers can continue to function.
So, you're going to remember, I'm not going to let you out easy. You're going to suffer. And we know he's got a story arc coming later. And then we also see Starscream here. We are so pleased to have you back, mighty Megatron. And we do know he was part of the coup. So Megatron's letting him know, hey, I'm going to have to deal with you too for your part in the coup. But that's going to come later.
Yep. And sometimes Megatron just has to say that, and that's enough.
Yeah. So the dynamic of Starscream and Megatron are still there. No matter what, it's always like that.
Yep. Forever the whipping boy.
Shockwave, make preparations to repair me immediately.
And now Megatron says,
now somebody tell me what's been done to my world.
To be continued. I love this issue. Megatron coming back and showing his authority. Megatron has always been my favorite Transformer of all time. So, it's just they did a nice build-up because for 2 issues, last time we saw him was 2 issues ago, and he had got on the spaceship and left after beating the Trypticon's ass. So, but like I said, I enjoy this. This definitely is a really good series. So, what do you guys got, Tad? You got anything?
No, man. This issue is nice and brutal and to the point for both sides.
Yeah, I like how Scorponok, got what was coming to him. And, we finally get to, it's all destruction and everything, but we finally get to see Trypticon. So, even though he's a agent of death and destruction, that's one of the toys I always loved to have.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, everybody just be cool. Do good things for other
Roll
people.
call.
Ramrod.
Roll call.
Hey, roll call.
Oh no, we're gonna try a different thing with the roll call. I'm going to hear. All right, my bad. We're gonna try a couple things later. I'm gonna try to incorporate them in the credits later. That was Ramrod and Briag 45's idea, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to cover that. But I do appreciate the reminder, sir.
Got it.
But go ahead, Ramrod.
All right, let's roll out.